Welcome to the latest in our community conversations. And I'm very excited to have with me today Robin from the Taunton Health Hub. And I believe you've been going for a good couple of years now. So it's a perfect opportunity to have a chat with you and hopefully inspire some that aren't necessarily as far along the journey as you are, and share the learnings along the way. So I've obviously said that you're from the Taunton Health Hub, but would you like to go into a little bit of detail about what you're up to in the Taunton Health Hub?
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, Taunton is in Somerset in the southwest. And very happy to live here. And so in terms of the PHA, I was so excited when I first came across a concept and saw videos by Catherine Levine and all of that. And the fact that if you, as I'm sure, if you look on their website, it does say healthcare in our hands. And this is a crucial thing because, and this is why it can take a little bit of time to get off the ground, because whereas it sounds like a really exciting idea that you can actually take care of your health yourself, for some people, that's a bit scary. Because if you're ill, the doctor knows best. When you see the doctor, he will give you a pill. Then you'll be fine. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And even doctors have said, we're not here to heal. We're here to treat whatever it is. Not only that, and again, it's not their fault. I asked one doctor in all the 4 or 5 years he was training, how much time was given to learn about nutrition. And he said, one afternoon. There's another aspect that doctors, it's not their fault, have not been trained in, and that's the mind-body connection. In other words, that, and there are so many books written about this, that if you are not well, often the cause can be emotion. So in other words, we need a much bigger picture to understand what illness is about. And this is the beauty of the People's Health Alliance approach, because it gives you the chance to encourage people to do that. You may say, but Robin, how do I do that? Okay, first of all, find a friend. Find a friend who is awake. I won't say any more about that, but who understands a bit more about what's happening in the world, what's really happening. And talk to them about this concept. Wouldn't it be great if we could actually get the word out and create something in our area that could support our community to take care of that? And if you can find them, then that friend of yours may find another friend of theirs who also has that same idea. So gradually you can build up a small group of people. Now at this stage, all you're doing is talking about it. And I can't tell you how often in the past I have come across people who said, Robin, that's such an exciting idea. It's absolutely exciting. But they don't do it. So this is the important thing, to find people who are willing with you to take it. What does that mean? And what does that mean is getting the word out using promotional materials, maybe leaflets, it could be Facebook. You know, there are lots of ways, and to actually hold maybe just a small event, invite a speaker to come in and talk about whatever subject is interesting for you, and gradually that builds up. So you build up, if you like, a little community of people who do actually want to explore. And the strapline on our website is empowering people to take care of them, so that we can overcome the traditional, almost religious view about how you take care of your health, because we do have a choice. And that, of course, is dependent on our level of consciousness. But more and more people are opening up. More and more people are questioning. And I won't even talk about the C word of something that happened 2 or 3 years ago. But more and more people are really wondering, what can I do? What can I do to take care of myself and my health? So this is how it started 2 years ago, and gradually it has built up. And what is interesting is that you may find you've got people joining your group who are very good at something. So one may be good at social media, for instance. Someone else may know a few practitioners that you can invite along. And when you feel ready, hold an event. So we have had, for instance, September, our last one was the Taunton Wellbeing Day. So we had about a dozen practitioners with stalls there who could give what we call taster sessions, so that people can go along and for 20 minutes, half an hour, for £8 or £10, they can have a taste of what that modality is like. We also had 3 great speakers, and I was very, very lucky because our key speaker was Dr. Tess Lawrie, who founded the World Council for Health, and she's really, really inspiring. But there are lots of people out there who are very happy to come along and do that. So gradually the word gets out, and you can. So what as a result of that, because it went so well, and I've now found new bigger premises for next year, and we're really, really working on how we can build this up in a bigger way. But I realized that actually I was doing most of it. And to be honest, I was getting exhausted. And I hope this isn't too much for some of you. I asked our unseen friends, and I said, please, can you bring some more people to help? And within 2 weeks, more people did come. And through who knows what contacts. And so we're just about to have a meeting with this bigger group of people, some who said, we really want to be part of this, and move up to the next step. So that's a bit of a long answer to your question, but that's just a basic.
It's brilliant because I think you probably answered so many questions that people have in those initial days. Did you have premises when you first started out?
Benefits?
Premises,
no. No, that's really the next stage. So what we have done is to rent a room somewhere, and there are quite a lot of places. There may be a village hall, there may be a hall that belongs to a church. We use a local set of premises, which is Quaker run. It has a really good energy, so we use those sometimes as well. So premises is the next stage, because that's the next stage of the next vision number 43B, which I'll talk to you about when you're ready.
Yeah, well, I think it's really important that people understand that it doesn't have to be a finished product to be making a difference. And I think what you're talking about there, renting out space and building up gradually, seems a lot more achievable for people and less overwhelming. And like you say, I think when you start building from nothing and you're bringing new people in, and a lot of this is volunteer led, which makes a huge difference in terms of time and resources that you have available to you. I think bite-sized chunks, and like you say, billions of visions, it probably evolves as this is all very organic. You sort of start with one vision and then it evolves into something else. Did you find that along the way?
Definitely, because now our next vision, especially after this last one-day event, really given us a feeling we've got something to offer and that now people are ready to accept. So the next vision, which I think you know about, is to set up a health community centre in Taunton, where people can come in and talk to somebody about their illness and be listened to for half an hour or even 3/4 of an hour. And again, it's not the doctor's fault, but they've only got 10 or 20 minutes, and much of that, according to what I've heard, is looking at the screen. So this is an opportunity, and this is actually the value of having volunteers, because they are really happy to listen in depth to what people have to say. So we've had to do a bit of training ourselves, and my background has been in psychotherapy. So I had a way of asking questions about people's childhood, what events have taken place. So again, going back to the mind-body concept, one woman came in for what we call a personal health review, and she had a heart condition. I'm very sorry to hear that. And I asked you questions. By the way, have there been any adverse events in your life you can think of in the last few years? And she said, oh yes, about a year or two ago, I broke up with my boyfriend. Now, you may think that's a silly coincidence, but these things do have an effect on our body. So one of the main feedbacks that we've had, if not the main feedback about these personal health reviews, when people come in, is that they've actually been listened and then actually talk about themselves, not just the illness. And we forget how valuable that is. And that's part of the healing process.
Yeah, I love that. And like you say, 10 minutes in a doctor's surgery isn't going to cut it, is it?
No.
And everyone's so different, and we have such different needs. So obviously it is predominantly volunteer led. You're renting out spaces. How are you affording to pay for this? Is this donation based? Are people paying for the wellbeing events? How are you funding this? Because that's a huge area that comes up a lot for people.
Okay, there's three answers to that question. The first is we say, this is what one of the team members recommended, that we don't charge for entry. So for our wellbeing day, we say free entry, but please make a contribution of £10. And that worked. That really worked well. And then we also have a membership scheme whereby we ask people, and they can do it through the website or they can do it directly from their bank account. They can become a member by setting up a £5 a month payment. Then their access to the personal health reviews and other situations is free.
That's brilliant. It's affordable.
However, I wanted to have a website, and I wanted us to be able to print leaflets and whatever. So I've got to be honest, yes, put money in myself into that. But I'm trusting that one day that I'll be able to get that.
Yeah, I think it's such a big contentious topic, and I think so many are in a very similar position for you, because we're in this transitional period, aren't we? Where we're straddling two worlds, and where we'd love to give everything away for free.
Yeah,
it's just not possible. Everyone has their bills to pay, mortgages, rents, and we want to make it accessible. And that's one of the key objectives and values of PHA, is making this kind of treatment plan, if you like, which is holistic healing and healthcare, affordable for everybody. And at the moment,
you're absolutely right. And when it comes to setting up the community health centre, yes, we need to find premises. what I want is not just an opportunity for people to come in and talk about their health, and also be given, and this is part of it, given the opportunity and the freedom to choose whichever healing modality they want to follow, and it would be allopathic. But also to have in this centre a library of health books and maybe a cafe, so that community can come together and people can feel relaxed and happy when they come in.
Actually, well, that's one of the campaigns that we're looking to do is a simple one called Fancy a Cuppa. So for those that are feeling that the idea of building a health hub is quite an overwhelming feat, why not just organise a coffee morning? Because just being able to talk with like-minded people, like you say, somebody feeling heard and listened to can do so much good emotionally and physically. So I love what you're doing with that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Another thing that does crop up quite a lot is the structure. So I know you spent quite a lot of time going through all the options. If you're going to be taking donations, money is exchanging hands. How on earth do you do this?
Okay.
So I think it would be brilliant for you to share your thought process, because I know you spent quite a lot of time on this.
Well, because the first thing, once you've got your little group together, because if you are going to put on events or whatever, then you need some sort of organisation. And I don't want to leap straight into being a charity and all that. To start, you're regulated and you've got to give all your financial information to the government. So there is something called a private members association, PMA, whereby and that's used by tennis clubs, and so you're not governed, you're not looked at. So if you want to stay outside the system, that's something you can start. It's also a good idea, however, I know this sounds boring, but to have a constitution, so that actually sets out what the rules and regulations are, and who is appointed to the chair, secretary, president, and so forth. I'm sorry if it sounds like a parish council situation, but at some stage, you need to be able to have some sort of structure. And we have a bank account. You can get them if you're a community organisation. You can get that at Lloyd's, for instance. And through one of the people on the team, we have someone who was a bookkeeper professionally and now looks after all our paperwork. So that's the sort of thing that can help get going in terms of, but for us, we will need to apply for funds for our community sector, and we may have to change our organisation to a CIC, community corporate.
Yeah, that's a community interest company. For
Thank you. Yes.
No.
And some people have even suggested maybe on your site, maybe there's an amazing blueprint, by the way, on the PHA site, which is really, really good, reading every page of that in terms of how to get things going. And there's a mention even of maybe a limited company might be. But what is one area, if you want to sort of set up that sort of vision of a community health, is that the people are used to going to the doctor and having free meds, free support. And so how can you help people who want to use complementary therapy, but the practitioners, because it's their living, are usually paid for it? And so this is something that does need to be addressed. And there are various schemes around on your website. And one thing that I've been wondering about is whether it's possible to set up something like a natural health insurance scheme whereby people pay so much a month and then they can get free or discounted holistic therapy. These are all ideas to be considered. I'm not saying which is the right one, but it is something that needs to be honest.
I think there are also a lot more insurance companies that are looking at well-being factors for treatment plans. I know as a reflexologist, I've had plenty of people coming through their insurance and they get a certain number of treatments or a certain amount of money per year to spend on well-being treatment. So I think there's more, it's definitely becoming more aware. And I think you also have things like social prescription, which is another brilliant option for anyone that can speak to their doctors. I mean, you can go into your doctor's surgery and see all of the flyers and leaflets for services that are outside of the remit of the NHS, and they say, right, well, we can help you as much as we can, but now we can't do any more. These are some potential options. So that's another avenue. And I think if you can get in onto the social prescription services within your GP, and then, like you say, applying for funding, you're more likely to get funding if you can show that you're actually helping people in your community as well. So I think that's brilliant.
That's really good. That's really good because so many private insurance companies, they advertise and say only £25 a month. And that's when you talk to them, they say, what's your age? Oh, well, that's going to be about £200 or £300.
Yeah, a lot of them do it through workplace insurance though, and I think that's where most people get theirs. Which, yeah, I think it'd be lovely if you could have something like that.
Yeah, so this is one of the aims. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea. In terms of the skill set then within your group, because this isn't just like you mentioned, you've got a bookkeeper. I'm assuming you've had somebody that has built the website as well. I think one of the things that a lot of people think is, oh, I only need practitioners. What's your experience been with that? And what would you say to people that say, I'm not a practitioner, how can I help?
One of the myths that there are, people say, I can't join your team because I'm not a practitioner. And actually, that's absolute rubbish, because the important thing is not that you have a practitioner holistic skill at all. The important thing is that you are open to that, but that you have a gift in organizing certain things. So there are some people who say, oh, Robin, I can really help you with social media. Great. I'm no longer a teenager. So, certain people can help with that. There's someone in our team who is great at organizing the food for the events and gets everyone to make some coleslaw or whatever it is. And there's also somebody else who has just come, who can now update the events on the website, because obviously it does cost money to get a half decent website going. And if you're going to attract people through a website, then it's got to be well designed. And it does need updating. But now I've got a volunteer who, and I did have to pay for them, what was it, £75, I think, for the website designer to give them a tutorial as to how they could update. But now we've got this volunteer who's doing it, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea. And also, I guess, because in the Southwest, am I right in thinking there's quite a few hubs? I think it's actually one of the busiest for health hubs around the country. And I know you've been quite active with other groups. Are you finding that actually sharing resources has helped you to build your teams quicker? What's the benefits been of actually having that kind of connection? Because we're very much about linking everybody up around the country to help each other as much as themselves.
I would say there are two benefits, because then it depends how you communicate. So if, for instance, there's someone in each area who receives emails about the events, for instance, down in Bridport, they are amazing. That always putting things on. Glastonbury, as you won't be surprised to hear, they have, and I get emails about the speakers that they have, and I contact one or two of them and say, would you like to come over to Taunton? And speakers are helpful because, just to explain, we have something called TASTE, which is Talk and Taster Evening. Now, this is once a month. So what we do, we get someone to come in and give a talk about nutrition or about aging or about the mind-body connection, whatever it is. In fact, there's someone coming in November who has developed an amazing pain-free method how to be free of pain in your body. And that happens for an hour. And then there's a break, but also we have a few practitioners there so that people can have a tasting session with them after, as well as having some tea and coffee, whatever. And again, that's also about people connecting. So people who are coming and find, oh, hello, Sally, I didn't realize you were interested in this. And it builds up, and it builds up. I know this is basic stuff, but when the word gets out, people will say to a friend or a neighbor, I went to a very interesting evening the other day, and they've got another one next month. Would you like to come?
Yeah. And I suppose it's a bit of a snowball effect, really, because the more you can do these things, the more people come, the more they then tell their friends. And what starts as quite a slow burner, I can imagine actually gets quite busy quite quickly. Is that what you found?
Yes, but also I would say, well, in our case, it's taken longer than I would have wanted for it to build up, and maybe because I'm not as patient as I should. But there are times when I've been thinking, oh God, is this ever going to work? Do I really want to carry on doing this? But I did keep going. And you make mistakes. The mistake I made was to have a well-being weekend with practitioners and speakers, which sounds like a great idea, but it's too much. And what's been far more successful is to have a well-being day. Just one day for people to come, practitioners, speakers, whatever it is. So that's a lesson, if you like, for us at this stage. And maybe in the future we can have a well-being weekend, but not yet. It's a step-by-step process. It's just a matter of learning.
Yeah, I think it's really valuable to share that actually, because it's very easy to get carried away with this huge big vision, isn't it? But it's setting realistic goals. And so what would you say to people that are new on this journey that might be get at that frustration point? There's only one or two of them that are doing the bulk of the work. What would you say to those people, given that you've been in that situation?
Well, one of the things to do, especially if you've got someone who can get the word out on social media, or even put up little leaflets in local shops, health food shops, or whatever it is. That's one way of physically getting and digitally getting the word out. But also, I think that you just need to trust, because if I can go to a higher level now, what we're doing is more than just encouraging people to be empowered to take care of their health themselves. It's actually an act of raising consciousness. Now, if you're into the concept that we have an opportunity of creating the new earth as the old order crumbles, and that this is to do with raising the consciousness of the planet, which we've been told by our unseen friends is the new amazing period that this planet is now going to go through after thousands of years of being ruled by the negative. This is such an exciting thing. So we can play our part in that as part of empowering people to take care of their health, because this is to lead to a much higher experience of consciousness.
I love that.
And if you're feeling at some stage, oh my God, this really isn't working, I need more people. I'll tell you one trick, because I felt that after the last day, it was a success and we made a profit, but I was exhausted. So that's why I sat down quietly and asked my guides, please, can you find me some more people? And they turned up. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but you know, if I'm not being too over the top there, you know, if you can bear in mind that they want us to create this new earth, they want us to help people understand more about their lives from the bigger picture point of view, then you're playing a much bigger role than you realize.
It's trusting the process, isn't it? Because if you resist, what you resist persists.
Yeah.
So it's allowing things to flow and looking out for the synchronicities, because they will come when you're in the flow, when you're not pushing for something to be a certain way and you're allowing what comes up to come through. It actually it might take a bit of time. It could happen really, really quickly. But I think it's just knowing, like you say, that this is far bigger than any one of us, and we are all playing our part in the creation of the new earth. And it's going to be messy for a time. It's not going to look neat and tidy with all these beautiful crystal clean hospital rooms, which quite honestly I hate. We are going to get it wrong, but it's going to be authentic. It's going to be completely what it's supposed to be, for the people, by the people. And that's exactly why PHA has started in the way that it has, and all of these incredible hubs around the UK and worldwide
Yes,
are doing some incredible things.
absolutely. And you've got great people like in New Zealand, for instance, and she's amazing. It really is inspiring to hear how the people in other countries talk about that. So it's just it's huge, and we can play our part. And however frustrating it may be to begin with, you will get there. The other thing I want to say is about groups and teams, because one of the things I've realized in the last 2 years and had to deal with is that people say, oh yes, I want to join your team, but underneath what can emerge is something negative. And then gradually then they leave your team and other people come along. So to be able to stand back and observe that without being too emotionally affected is something else that I've had to learn.
Yeah, I think it's a really important issue to raise, actually, the team dynamics and how we co-create when really we've had these top-down structures for so long.
Yeah.
It's we're all learning how to work and cooperate and collaborate, and also it's a way of us checking in to see where we're aligned and what resonates and what doesn't, because there will be people all over the world that are doing incredible things, but you might not necessarily work well, your energies might not match. And I think it's important to be true to yourself as well.
Yes.
In a respectful way. But yeah, that team dynamics has thrown up a lot of issues for many groups. And I think it's one that people should be aware of. It doesn't mean that it's all going to fall apart, but we've all got to understand that the energies are just crazy most of the time. Being kind to ourselves and respecting boundaries, I think, is a big one.
Setting boundaries. And I think the important thing is just to believe in yourself and to believe that you are, with a mission like this, which is so big and so beautiful, to and they're supporting us. I'm sorry if I'm going above it for a lot of people, but this has been my experience. Once you have that feeling of being supported, it's magical.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and I think a lot of people will get a lot of comfort and will also have taken a lot of learnings away with them on this talk. And I think really to summarize that it doesn't have to be anything finished. You start with a simple vision and see how it evolves. You can't do it all on your own. You do need people. You need a dedicated core team of people, but it can actually be done with a relatively small number of people. And I'm excited to hear more. So we'll put details of the website in the notes, and this will go out to everybody.
Bless you. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you again, Amanda.
And you. Thanks, Robin.
All right then. Bye-bye for now.